Okay, you are good to go.
Great.
Yeah, let me make you host.
Harry, where are you from?
I'm from India.
India. Okay, where?
Yep. From northern part, like there's a state named Himachal Pradesh. It's near to Himalayas.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I have the ambition to go to India one day. There's two places I want to go that I've read about a lot. One is Kerala State,
Okay.
and the other one is the Hindi Kush.
Hindi Kush.
Yeah, up near Nepal and the Himalayas.
Okay. Okay.
We call it in America the Hindi Kush. It could be something else.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm an American. I know more than most Americans, and we don't know everything.
Yep. We also don't know anything about America, so yeah.
Well, that's okay. I have an
That's
ambition to go to India. That's the one of the places in Asia.
Well, you are most welcome. I will be the first person welcoming you here.
Great.
Yeah. All right, you can enjoy your classes. I'm
Thanks.
going. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Harry. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good evening, Eileen. Hi, Deb. And Eileen I've got Deborah's iPhone, and I've got Deb, and Eileen changed to Adrian. Welcome, everyone. Deb, you're muted. I still can't hear you, Deb.
All righty. Good evening.
Where are you from, Deb?
I'm from New York originally, but I live in Florida now, and I live close to the beach, and I got a new bicycle, and I do lots of riding, but I have trouble with the gears going up the hill.
That is so common. That is so common.
So,
don't feel bad. I just got my wife a new bike, and part of it was because she was having a problem with her gears.
Yeah. It's just that it seems like I don't know when to switch it from 1 to 7. So I have 7 gears, so I'm not sure. So sometimes I hear the gear shaking, but I thought you put it on your lower gear when you're going uphill. So I put it on between 1 and 3 when I'm going uphill, and then I put it back to 4, 5, and 6 when I'm riding on flat ground.
Which one feels harder to push? 1 or 7?
Between 1 and 3 makes the hill a lot easier. I don't have to stand up.
So 1 is the easiest. 1 is the easiest. And that's on your right hand. And you probably got a gears on your left hand too?
No, I have all of the gears on my right.
They call that a 1 by 7. Okay, very good. Yep, you want the easiest to go up a hill. And I'll talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
So where in Florida?
I live by Dana Beach, Florida. I live 3 miles from the beach.
Where's Dana Beach?
Dana Beach is in South Florida, so it's not as far as Miami, but it's in the Hollywood part of Florida.
So you're in the Atlantic side?
Yes, the southern side. Close to Miami, but not close, like an hour away 40 minutes from Miami, maybe.
I've been to Jacksonville. And
you're on the other. Yeah.
Well, a long time ago, I was in Daytona Beach, and then I've been numerous times to St. Pete and Sarasota. I know the Gulf side.
So that's where my son lives. My son is in St. Pete.
It's beautiful there. I really liked it.
It is beautiful. The Clearwater Beach.
Key Beach. Beautiful. Hi, Betty. Where are you from? You're muted.
You see my mouth moving. I live in Nashville, Tennessee.
I love Nashville. I used to go to Nashville a couple times a year for work. That was the hardest part of leaving my job, was I couldn't go to Nashville for work anymore. Wow. It's a lovely city.
My family's from Knoxville.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
And Adrian, where are you from?
I'm from Denver, Colorado.
Denver.
Oh.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Yes.
I haven't ridden a bike in probably over 6 years. So are you hopefully going to go over what kind of bike maybe we should get?
I am actually. I didn't
Oh,
use, when I first started teaching this class, I didn't give that advice, but I've
Okay.
changed my mind
Thank you.
because
Yeah.
I just bought my wife a new bike and I've been talking to bike shop owners a lot and I've now got some
Okay.
ideas. So you can see, first of all, I came prepared tonight because I've got my helmet on.
He's got his gear on.
And I'll tell you, if there's one thing you wear, it is a helmet. I have been hit by a car and
Oh.
I haven't had an accident in 12 or 13 years, but I had 2 accidents in 2009. And both times I went over on my head and I had a helmet on. Okay. So my head is fine. The helmet, what has a crack in it, had a crack in it. This is many helmets since then. But I always tell people wear a helmet. If you're someone like me who doesn't possess anything up there, these are really helpful to keep the sun off the top of your head. And it has a little visor and it fits underneath your helmet. I'm going to show you a whole bunch more stuff. I just do this for fun. I thought I'd have some fun tonight. I also have a little nifty thing. These are not easy to find. I have a rear view mirror on my helmet. Back in 1999 or 2000, I don't remember. I got hit by a car. I was okay. The car wasn't, but I was. And and he didn't hit me from behind, but I decided that I needed all the help I could get. And so I got this rear view mirror. This rear view mirror is over 20 years old. It's not in the best shape, but it still works. And I've learned because I ride on the road with cars all the time. I know how to look up here and see cars coming by me. Just thought I'd show you some gear tonight. I'll show you a whole bunch more stuff, but someone said, Russ needs to talk more about safety. So I thought I'm going to talk about safety first thing by talking about a helmet. Invest in a good helmet. If you don't spend at least $40, you probably haven't spent enough. You don't have to spend $150, but a good helmet should cost you at least $40. Get it from a shop and try it on there. Make sure it fits. Make sure that the shop owner says that's a good fit of a helmet for you. They're adjustable. It has a little thing in the back here. You can make it go tight in your head and you can adjust the straps to make it hold on nicely. That's a good helmet. Mine is, what is this one? That's just a Specialized helmet. I'll take the cap off. Anyway, I love cycling. I'm going to share my screen with you this evening. And we're also streaming live. So more people might be watching us.
Ross, I'm here. I'm just eating dinner, so I'm gonna turn off my video just while I'm eating, but I'm listening. I'm here.
No problem, Adrian. I'm glad you're there. You know a secret? I do that too.
Yes, I'm having dinner.
I usually eat dinner and then they can't see me.
Okay.
Okay, let's get this to the start here. Why is that not getting right to the start? I also have a new mouse tonight, so I'm learning I'm going to stop this share here for a second, and I'm going to go back to the very beginning. I just got a new wireless mouse today. There it is. Now you should see something that says cycling for fun and fitness. Everybody's seeing that? Okay, we're all the same place. That's one of my bikes. That's my road bike. I rode 4,000 miles last year. I like to ride around the countryside for exercise and to get out in the fresh air and to see the beautiful place I live. I also do it for practical reasons. I'll talk more about that. Cycling for fun and fitness. I'm Russ Eanes, your guide. I'm from Harrisonburg, Virginia. I'm a writer, a walker, and a cyclist. I formerly was a book publisher. And when I was a book publisher, my favorite thing was to help authors shape their ideas into a book. I am actually working on a book now about writing. In 2019, I published my first book. I published for hundreds of authors and never I wrote a book myself. I wanted to write, but I never had any. It just didn't think I could maintain interest long enough to write a book, but I did, and I loved it so much. I'm writing more books, and my second book is about cycling. I love the energy I get and the wisdom I collect from working with older adults and older learners. And so I'm really glad you're all here tonight. And we got another new person joining us. That's great. Diane, wonderful. Welcome, Diane. Glad to have you with us. Where are you from, Diane? You're muted. Diana.
I'm from Sacramento, originally from the East Bay.
Oh, Sacramento. Okay, so it's a little bit earlier out there than it is here. I'm in the East Coast. I'm from Harrisonburg, Virginia. Harrisonburg is in Western Virginia, not to be confused with West Virginia. It is the Shenandoah Valley. It's a lovely place. We're between the Blue Ridge Mountains and the Allegheny Mountains, and it's farmland and nice sized small cities. Harrisonburg is a college town, James Madison University. So we're a nice mid-sized city, just the right size for me. But we have hundreds and hundreds of miles of excellent road biking roads through the countryside around the farms. It's also known as the mountain biking capital of Virginia, because with all the mountains on each side of us, there's lots of places for mountain bikers to go. I don't mountain bike. I do love the energy and the wisdom I collect from working with all of you, and I'm glad to see you here tonight. GetSetUp helps you learn useful things from people like you so that you can do wonderful things. We learn from each other. Ideally, we can see you when your cameras are on. You can request a recording of this class when it's done. I'm going to make sure, however, that we are recording, and stop sharing for 1 second. Yep, we are recording. Very good. We went a little too fast there. If anyone is joining by live stream, the best way to participate is to join us and register for a class. And by the way, GetSetUp is not paid to promote specific products. I do wish that all the major manufacturers of bicycles would give me bikes to try out, but they don't. So we get nothing. If you happen to see me show a picture of a Specialized bike, it's because that's my favorite shop in town, are the Specialized people. Our agenda tonight is to learn about different types of bikes and different types of riding, a little bit about how to get a proper bike fit. That is something I really emphasize. And now, who was it? Was it Betty that was asking about advice about getting back? No, was it Adrian about getting back into biking? And you want to know what kind of bike to get?
Not bad.
It was me, Adrian.
That's what I thought, Adrian. So I'll give you some advice tonight.
Okay.
We're going to talk a little bit about safe riding and safety equipment. You already saw me earlier with that helmet. Boy, if you remember one thing tonight, wear a helmet, because you only have one of these, but you can buy a new helmet if you fall over. And we'll talk just a little bit about some simple preventive maintenance. Did you know that last year bicycle sales were up 31% in the first quarter? I didn't yet get the statistics on the whole year, but I know they were up. And I have not talked to a bicycle salesman yet who did not tell me that they are having a hard time keeping bikes in the shop. So if you want to buy a bike, it's a good time, but you also might find it a little bit challenging to find a bike. You just have to be persistent. Did you know that bicycling, besides being fun, is a great way to get low impact exercise? That's actually me on a bike. I had a knee problem when I was a young lad of 33, and the doctor told me that it was a long, slow slide downhill from that point on, which I did not accept. And one of the ways that I have strengthened and kept my knees in good shape all these years, besides walking, is bike riding. I don't run. It's not good for my knees, but I can bike and I can do lots of walking. Great low impact, very good exercise, fabulous way to get out in the countryside, see some scenery. There are many kinds of bikes for different kinds of riding. Some of the better known types include road and gravel bikes. So that's a picture of me with my gravel bike right there. I actually did a tour on it last year. I went from Pittsburgh to Washington, D.C. on a rails to trails, the Great Allegheny Passage and the C&O towpath. There are fitness bikes. There are hybrid bikes, also sometimes called comfort bikes. I'm going to talk quite a bit about those tonight because I just bought one for my wife and she loves it. There are mountain bikes. I'm not sure any of you are into mountain biking. They have lots of suspension and extra shocks in them. Commuter bikes, those are bikes for getting around town and going grocery shopping, getting to the job. They usually have extra racks for putting packs and bags on them. There are recumbent bikes. I'll show you a picture of a nifty recumbent bike I just came across recently. Recumbent bikes aren't so good for riding around town necessarily because when you're so low, it's hard for cars to see. A lot of recumbent bikes have these little flags up in the back so the cars can see them. And of course, the big thing, and I'll talk about this quite a bit tonight, is e-bikes or electric bikes. They're getting big, they're getting less expensive, and they're a really good idea. Just pictures of a few bikes. I was in the bike shop one day and snapped some of these. This one over in the left, that's an e-bike. You can hardly tell it's an e-bike. The battery is in that down tube right there, that long thing. And most of the e-bikes that are out there today, the new ones, they're not like all electrified, like you don't have to pedal like a scooter. They're more like what it means is it's electric assist. So it makes it easier for you to pedal. And of course, there's these types. Here's a comfort bike with a top tube on it here. And the big thing that a lot of these have now these days are disc brakes. I love the disc brakes and the big fat tires. Do not be dismayed. Do not think those fat tires, I'll show you another picture of them, will slow you down. Those fat tires actually help even out and make the road feel more smooth and you ride just as fast. So isn't that a nifty recumbent bike? I found my neighbor riding that a couple weeks ago and I stopped Ruth and I said, Ruth, I got to get a picture of you. Look, it's got double wheels in the back. I don't want to call it a tricycle because I don't know, I guess it technically is, but Ruth is missing her left arm. And she had it removed surgically. I guess she had, some problems a long time ago. And so she needed a bike with extra stability, low down to the ground. And this is an electric assist recumbent bike. So she can pedal all around the neighborhood, but she also goes into town on this bike and she can get up the hills quite easily. The double wheels in the back give her extra stability. She's got a basket back there for stuff. So Ruth, who has a certain handicap because she only has one arm, she is really functional and out there on her bike. I love it. She talked up a storm about how much she does with her bike. She's got that flag on the back that's because she's sitting down so low. That's so the cars can see her. Now look at this. Here's some more bike riding fun. Look at these people on the left. These are some more of my neighbors. They live several blocks away. Jonathan is blind. And he has this special setup with his wife where the two bikes are hitched together. She can see, and they pedal all over the neighborhood. He's a piano tuner, by the way. He used to tune my piano. He's really good, but he's now he's got to be in his early 80s. And he and his wife go out bike riding all the time. He can't see where he's going, so he's kind of connected to his wife, and they're kind of like a bicycle built for two of kinds. It's just like so much fun. And of course, here's the one where you can get a little kid on the bike behind you. This happens to be one of my sons and my grandson with a helmet on and a big smile on his face, telling you that he was made to do that. Look at the snow in the background. They're up in Maine. This was a few weeks ago. There's an e-bike of a different sort. This is made by, I don't even know what company's made that makes this. It's got a bigger, fatter down tube, and that's where the battery is. And down here in the crank is where the electric assist is. So the way it works is you don't just turn on electric and let it push you. You can adjust the amount of electric assist that you need. So if you're going up a hill, you might put in maximum electric assist, and maybe on a downhill or flat, you don't need any. You can shut the electric assist off and just pedal yourself. What is fabulous about e-bikes, why I like them so much, and I don't have one, but I like them so much, is that it's gotten a lot of people back into bike riding that are older who wouldn't be bike riding otherwise. And I am a big advocate and proponent of bike riding. I ride around town to the store, to run errands, to go down to the coffee shop, to go to see my kids. I got 3 kids living here in town. I can bike over to their house. I go babysitting. I hop on my bike and I go see my son. We're going to actually narrow down from 2 cars to 1. My wife and I are now empty nesters. And part of it is I get around on a bike. But I know many couples where the husband or the wife is a big bike rider, and the spouse can't keep up. Well, the spouse bought an electric bike, an e-bike, and now they're keeping up with their spouse, and now the two of them are out having fun together. So I think e-bikes are a great thing. Here's a different type of e-bike, by the way. This one has an exterior mounted battery, this big pack on there. And the reason, by the way, the battery packs do add quite a bit of weight to a bike, so they can add up to 20 pounds. But the reason this is an advantage is you can pop that battery pack off. Like say you want to load the bike onto a rack or something like that. You can pop the battery pack off and suddenly the bike is 20 pounds lighter. And they all have these little built-in computers up here like this that show you how to adjust the amount of assist that the electric gives you. And I have a friend, Sandy Brown, he's out on the West Coast, and he biked about 900 miles on the California Mission Trail. I think it's 856 miles or 900 miles. And he biked it last summer with, was never a big bicyclist. He's a hiker and a walker, but he wanted to try biking it. He got an e-bike and he biked the whole way on his e-bike. So the type of bike you want to get is going to match your riding. Okay. So if you're a commuter, you might like a bike that has a rack on the back, or make sure you can put a rack on the back. If you're somebody that likes to do trail riding, you might want wider tires. Trails can be a little bit rougher, and I'll show you some pictures of that. Mountain bikes or dirt roads, you need shock absorbers. But the e-bikes, if you're a slower rider and you want to keep up with someone faster, that's a good idea to get an e-bike. The frame material matters, both for weight and shock absorbency. So a steel frame is heavier than an aluminum frame, and carbon fiber frames is even lighter than that. I have a carbon fiber frame and a steel frame bike. The key is getting a proper fit on a bike. So Adrian was asking about buying a bike. You might want to go in and look at these comfort bikes. I just got one for my wife, and I'll show you some more pictures of it. She loves it. And it's important, though, that whatever bike you get fitted for it. So bikes come in different frame sizes. So this is the frame of the bike right here. There's kind of a triangle to it. They call that the geometry of the bike. And the taller a person is, the bigger that geometry is. So the taller person has a little bit longer top tube right here between the seat and the handlebars, because they have longer arms that can reach. And also this tube right here is a little bit longer because they're taller, because they want to have a longer distance, to the pedal. So, but what's really important is you want to get fitted by the owner, because all these things can adjust. You can move the seat forward and back. You can move the seat up and down. You can adjust the handlebars up and down. So if you buy a bike from a good reputable dealer, they will fit you before you leave the shop with it. So make sure, I always advocate buying bikes at a shop and getting a fit. Not only will you be assured to get the right bike and the right size bike, but a good shop will always fix your bike up for you. My wife's got the first checkup on her bike. She can bring it back in 3 months, and they'll do any more maintenance on it that it needs. A good fit will allow you to ride so you don't stress your knees or shoulders. This is me riding in England about 3 years ago, and you notice how my neck is kind of in line with my back. That keeps that minimizes that strain that you can get in your back from having your neck held up too far or hunching over or something like that when you're riding. You want to have the right safety equipment, and I showed you that helmet before. And if you are out at night or in dusk, now I don't ride in the dark. I don't usually stay out late like that, but I often will come back and the sun's going down. It's getting a little dusky. You want to have lights on the front and the rear of your bike, a red light in the back, preferably one that flashes. And you want a light in the front that also flashes. You can ride after dark if you want. I don't like to ride after dark because I can't necessarily see the road as well if I'm riding, and I could hit a bad spot in the road. I have the front light so the cars at intersections can see me approaching, especially the ones that are going to cross the intersection. So I always recommend at dusk, make sure you have a light. A lot of cyclists I know, they have the little red flashing light on the tail of their bike all the time when they're riding. Because they figure, hey, there's no such thing as being too visible to a car. You also want to have good, comfortable clothing. You know, I do bike in those bike shorts, and they've got extra padding and they don't flap around. I really like them. But you also want to have clothing that allows good visibility, especially light colored clothing, or like I've got a cycling jacket on here, but it has reflective stripes on it. So if a car's headlights come up behind me or ahead of me, they can see me. Make sure when you're riding, you know the rules of the road. So in Harrisonburg, here's 3 types of ways to ride, to kind of routes for a bike, all within about a half a mile. This on the far left is a bike lane, and that is bikes only allowed to go there. And it's marked like this with this rider with an arrow, and there's a guy ahead of me in the lane. So there's one on each side of the road. Those are just for bikes. Then our town, in the state of Virginia, we have what are called bike routes. And there's a big thing with a double kind of chevron like that over a bike. And that means that the bikes are allowed to have the whole lane. The cars have to share the whole lane with bikes if the bikes want it. So that's, and not every road is a bike route. They usually have a couple north, south, a couple east, west, and the cyclists learn where the bike routes are and they try to stay on the bike routes, you know, as far as they can. And then we have off-road paved trails. This is the North End Greenway. It's just for pedestrians or cyclists. I suppose inline skaters could get on it. And that's dedicated to us. And that's the nicest riding. And even though, in fact, for me to ride downtown, it's about 3 miles. If I go on the North End Greenway, maybe it adds a 1/4 mile or 3 or 4/10 of a mile. I ride it anyway because I love staying away from the cars when I can. I'm not afraid of cars, but it's best is to leave the cars to their own roads. And of course, one of my favorite ways of riding are rails to trails. And I'm going to be doing a class probably in a week or 2 about riding the Great Allegheny Passage, which is the greatest rails to trails in the United States, in my opinion. Goes through the Allegheny Mountains. This is it right here. Old rails to trails are great for riding because they built the railroads really well with great drainage, and they're up above, the side. There's up above the shoulder, so they're really level and flat. And when they made those things into bike trails, they're about the best thing you can ride on. It's actually my favorite way of riding. Learn to use all your gears and pedal at a good cadence. And let's see, it was Betty, I think, that asked about your gears, or was it Deb?
Deb.
Deb, you're going to get notes at the end of this class from the class. So I'll share, all the stuff I've been talking about tonight will come to your notes. There's a link in there, Deb, to 2 really good YouTube videos I found about shifting gears.
Okay.
And I've also told people, because I had a person say, I'm trying to figure out how to get the knack on my gears, but I'm always a little nervous about riding on the road. I say, you know what, go to a church parking lot and practice.
Okay.
Why? Because church parking lots are usually empty during the week. Other parking lots might not be, but a church parking lot is. I actually taught my wife how to drive a stick shift 40 some years ago in a church parking lot. Mm-hmm. And it's a good place to practice and to figure out, which gear is harder, which is easier, how to shift, when to shift. And of course, when you're climbing hill, you want to make it easier. And when you are going down a hill, you want to make it a little bit harder so you can get more power. It is important to learn to pedal at what I call faster cadence. And actually, a good healthy cadence is faster than you might think. If you can imagine pedaling 70 to 80 revolutions per minute is actually a good pedaling cadence. It's easier on your joints. Oh. And you also have a little more power. So spend some time practicing, like in a church parking lot somewhere, to shift through all your gears, or like the street I live on doesn't have very much traffic. So it would be a good place to practice. Lastly, keep your bike well maintained. Keep your tires at the proper inflation. It's always written on the side of the tire what the pressure is. And if you don't have a pump, find a good friend that does, and they can help you keep your tires inflated. Replace those tires when they get worn out. I've gotten flats just because my tire was too worn out, and I ran over something that wouldn't have given a healthy tire a flat, but it gave me a flat. Keep your chain lubricated. I always change mine every 1,500 to 2,000 miles. Hey, some of you may not ride that far. That's okay. I always recommend have a mechanic do a tune-up to your bike as needed. Depends on how much you ride. But if you're riding quite a bit every year, take it to a mechanic once a year. Usually you go, late fall, over the winter. That's a good time to take your bike to a mechanic. They're not too busy. When spring comes or when late winter comes and spring is on the way, they often get pretty busy. Above all, enjoy your riding. Here's some scenes of some of my riding. In the left here, I'm with my third oldest son. I have 4 sons, and they all love to ride bikes. We were riding in Colombia. So we are actually up above the city of Bogota, which is like 7 million people up in the mountains. That was behind us. And here's a ride with some of my boys just in town. I'm going to show you some pictures there. That is my wife's new bike. That is a great comfort bike made by Specialized. I'm not going to, there are many similar brands. So you can get these. What my wife really likes is what's called the step through frame. Okay. So it doesn't have a top bar that you got to swing your leg over. She finds it so much easier to get on and off and to stop the bike with this step through frame. And they're making the step through so that they go farther down, easier to step through. Another thing I wanted my wife to have was these disc brakes. And these have become so common that it's really hard to find a bike anymore without disc brakes, a new bike. They are very reliable. They're very easy to maintain. They stop you better. And one of the great things about disc brakes is they work really well in the rain. The old-fashioned caliper brakes, which squeeze the rim of the wheel, in the rain, they get wet and they are slick then when they're wet, and you need a lot more stopping distance and it's not as safe. So disc brakes, that doesn't happen to them, and they're very reliable and they're easy to maintain. I really recommend them. My wife, this bike she has here also has a spring or a bit of a shock in the seat post right here, so that smooths out the ride. And these tires are 2.3 inches in diameter, so they're really big tires. And they don't slow her down. You might think that a big tire slows you down. It doesn't slow you down at all. But it smooths out the ride. Anything rough, the bigger tires really smooth things out. She's got a nice little kickstand on her bike. And she also has new, really nice shifters. They're little lever shifters on the handlebars. And the handlebars, I didn't even manage to get a picture of this, but they have a little flat spot on the grip. So it's really nice and easy on your hand. So I just love these comfort bikes. This is made by Specialized. It's called the Specialized Roll. But all the major manufacturers have a bike just like this. So I really recommend these to anybody who wants to get back into cycling or maybe wants something more comfortable, something newer. This is what I can recommend to you very, very highly.
Can I say something?
You sure can, Deb.
Sometimes I'm not sure why some of the seats are so uncomfortable. So as you're getting fitted for the bike, I'm tall, I'm 5'10". So as you said, I had to get fitted for the bike. And somehow the seat seemed okay if you're doing a 10-minute ride or something like that. But if you're riding for an hour or an hour and a half, most of my days are an hour and a half, the seat begins to feel very uncomfortable. So do they have a different shaped seats that I can maybe have the seat replaced, or the seat, I can have the seat replaced?
Okay, it's a bit embarrassing to say, but a bike shop will fit your bottom to a seat. Okay. They'll measure you and they'll say you need a wider seat, a narrower seat. Cycling
it seems like doesn't even seem like it's my butt so much as in between my inner thigh.
Yes, it's the friction there. It's the chafing. Yes. And cycling shorts can help because they'll give you padding, but they'll also keep there'll be less friction with that's this right here. Actually, the seat is really called a saddle. I mean, that means, and think of it like a horse's saddle, that's where the term comes from. And this nose of the saddle right here is often where we get a lot of irritation inside of our thighs. Yes, that happens. And so you want one solution you can have is to get a slightly narrower saddle on the top like that. Go if there's a good bike shop where they know how to fit you, go and explain your problem to them, and they can give you some different types of seats to solve that
Okay.
problem. No, that's
Is
a
that
very,
expensive? Is it expensive to do?
you know, a good seat probably will cost you somewhere between $50 and $100. But listen, that comfort can really make a big difference.
Did you say 1,500?
No, 50 to
Oh.
100. Don't buy a $1,500 seat, Deb.
Okay. I was like, I'm buying.
Unless
a
you're in the
car.
Tour de France and it's lightweight or something like that. So
Okay.
a good shop will help you with all those things. And, you know,
Okay.
a lot of shops, I really appreciate this. They have women working in them who women often feel more comfortable talking about how they fit and where it's comfortable or not to another woman. So not all shops do, but my favorite shop in town, it does have that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no, this is the time for questions. Diane or Betty or Adrian, shoot any questions out there you have.
So
When I
I do have
When I'm
okay.
sorry. Ed.
Go ahead, Betty.
When I got my bike, I just went in Walmart. I think I got it at Walmart and just bought a wider seat and it fit.
Oh.
There you go. You can do that too. Yep.
Mm.
Yep. That's a solution, Betty.
Yeah.
This
Actually,
comfort bike
got
right
it
here
at-
has a wider seat.
I got it at Academy Sports. I said Walmart.
Okay.
So I have a question. This is Adrian. I mean, do you mind giving the cost of your wife's bike? It is a very nice bike, by the way.
Not at all. It was $800, and that's a very
Okay.
reasonable
you.
price for a bike, because bikes can cost in the thousands. And this is a really well-equipped bike with an
Okay.
aluminum frame, so aluminum weighs less. For just, I say just $800 because I, bought and sold and very familiar with bikes, and that's a very good price considering what it's equipped with. And she has what's called two chain rings in front. So you only got two choices, a large and small. Deb has what they call a one by, so she only has one chain ring in the front. And it's really a preference thing. The older bikes had 3 chain rings, so they call triple chain rings. And those did get confusing to ship because people couldn't remember my 1, 2, or 3, where am I supposed to be? So these are what most bikes have now, 1 or 2 chain rings in the front. More questions?
Ross, when you start seeing bikes that cost, when I went bike shopping and I didn't know the range of bikes because it was 30 years since I had been on a bike. And the range went from $250, they showed me, upwards to $3,500. I saw some bikes for $4,500. I mean, I saw bikes that were the price of a small car.
Yeah.
And so the range was so wide, it took me for a little loop to kind of find like, what's the good range. I got kind of a good secondhand Swin bike, one of the older models. So it's good to get me back in shape because I hadn't, as I said, biked for more than 20 or 30 years. So, but now I'm ready. In another couple of months, I'll be ready to get a new bike. But the range is so from one extreme to the other, from 250 to 7,000. That's a huge range.
Deb, are there lots of hills around where you are?
There are some hills around to go up a major hill over a major bridge to get to the beach. So yeah.
Right. This price that I pay for my wife's bike is a good price.
800, that seems like in the middle.
That's in the middle, and that's a very good quality bike. She's a casual rider. I go out and ride every day. And I
ride every day.
Yeah. So you're really going to match it to how much you put in it. But this would be for a daily rider for someone. And I really say for people who want to ride, this is a really good one. You can spend up to $1,000 or a little bit more. Also for what you end up paying, really what the difference are these components that are on there, like the gears and the brakes and the frame are the 3 major components that are costly on a bike. And when a bike gets more expensive, maybe it's got a lighter weight frame. Like one of my bikes has a carbon fiber frame. I mean, the bike only weighs 20 pounds. and it has really high components. But I've ridden it almost 18,000 miles in 10 years. So, it really has gone the distance. This bike will go the distance for my wife. This is really a well-made long-term bike. It's made by Specialized. I'm not advocating for Specialized, but I also have another Specialized. I really like their bikes. Trek is good. Kona are good bikes. I don't think I want to start naming all the brands. Schwinn makes good bikes. Lots of good brands of bikes. Raleigh, you really can't buy in shops anymore. I think they only sell online, which is, I don't want to tell anybody not to buy a bike online, but I will tell you that if you buy a bike in a shop, they'll fit you well and they'll take care of you at a good shop.
My shop has a little room in it, and you can get on the bike, and it puts you on the bike, so it fits you for your height. It fits you for your leg length and the riding of it. So it has like a whole room that's like stimulated, like it's a road, so you can it's on the road.
That's great, Deb. That's a good shop. That's when I got fitted from each of my two bikes, the fitting took over an hour. One took almost 2 hours because the owner took so much time, and they were more expensive bikes. So obviously it was worth it for the owner to spend time with me to make sure I was fitted. Both of my bikes I've been fitted. I haven't changed anything in the fit in the years since I've had the bikes. So
wow.
Are any of you, this is your first GetSetUp class by chance? I forgot to ask that at the beginning. Anybody first time with GetSetUp? Okay. Are you all familiar with the GetSetUp website where you can look at classes? Because I can take a minute and show you that. I am going to show you one thing here at the end, which are some related classes. There is the morning fitness, seated strength for training, two great morning fitness. We have some really good morning fitness instructors. So check those out. Some of my next classes coming up. One is called How to Self-Publish a Book. I do lots of classes. I'm doing a whole lot of classes on travel. I have an upcoming class. Everyone has a story to tell. How to start a memoir. I'm doing a special class on Thursday afternoon at 3:00 about a walk I did in Italy. I walked the Camino de Santiago in 2018, 500 miles on foot in 5 weeks. And I went back in 2019 to Italy with my wife, and we walked 8 days through the mountains of Italy between Rome and Assisi toward Florence. And we're going to talk about that walk. So come and join me Thursday at 3:00. Afterwards, you will get the class notes. Look something like this, and gives you and you have a chance to do feedback. I love feedback. Tell me how to do better as an instructor. Give us feedback about some classes we ought to have. Please suggest classes to us. That's how some of our classes have gotten started, because people had said, hey, you should do a class on this or that. And you'll also get some suggestions of classes that you might find interesting. And lastly, spread the word about GetSetUp to friends, family. It's all free. If any of you might be interested in hosting an interest group, just let us know. We have a lot of learners who've come and they've gone through a lot of classes. The next thing they know, they're hosting an interest group every week. So we really encourage you to attend more classes and think about doing something like that. So I'm going to stop my share here, and let me just quickly check. I'm going to share my screen again. Let me show you one thing. Go back there, and I should be able to show you. That's the GetSetUp website, which you all are familiar with. You start by going to your home, and give you some stats about kind of classes you've been involved in. And then down below, there are some suggested classes for you, which based on classes you've taken. If you click on a certain class that has an instructor, there I am, Russ E. You can click on that class, and it will tell you not only about the class, but it will tell you about the guide. So if you want to know more about me or any of the guides, you can click on about the guide. And then if you like that class from that guide, you want to know what else they teach, you want to take more classes from them, on the about the guide class, you can click through and where it says other classes that I teach. And there's a whole range of, not a whole range, these are some of the classes that I teach, and you can have the opportunity to sign up for some of those classes. So here's a whole list of all the classes we have, and you can filter them by the category. So if you want to do a class, check out classes on communication, and so you can filter and just do communication classes. The entire schedule is here. So there we are, Cycling Fun and Fitness, 7:30 p.m. tonight. And that zoomed in on that real fast for me. But then you can switch over and you can look at, how can I get that to get smaller again? Well, there we go. Then you can click on classes for tomorrow. So you can see look at that. The first one, 12 a.m. because we're also in Australia. If you're up at midnight, you don't know what to do yourself, you can learn all about Australian wildlife. Thursday, Friday, all the classes starting, whenever they start, 8 a.m., 10 a.m. You can check out the classes. That class I mentioned that I'll be doing at 3 is called, that's not on Friday, that's on Thursday. Sorry, let me get on to Thursday. Thursday at 3 o'clock is A Pilgrimage in Italy, The Way of St. Francis, right there. So that's a class I'll be doing if you want to come 3 o'clock on Thursday and learn about what it meant to walk for 8 days through the Umbrian Mountains, through many fabulous, beautiful hillside towns and cities in Italy. Well, you were a great class, and I really enjoyed meeting you all tonight. And Deb, I'm really impressed that you're going out and riding every day. It is just the best thing to ride a bike.
Best thing.
I learned to ride a bike when I was 8, so I was a little bit of a late bloomer. I've been riding all my life. I ride just about every day. I'm one of these guys that rides down the road, down the hill, and I weave back and forth, tipping over just for fun, like I did when I was 8. So I still love riding a bike as much as anything else. It's a great activity. And I hope to see some of the rest of you in classes again. You were and have a good evening, everybody.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Russ, I work with seniors in a fitness class. I do a fitness class for seniors during the week at a senior center. And they all say to me, oh, we ride at the gym. And I try to tell them this, riding the bike in the gym is nothing like riding a bike outside. So I try to convince them every day that it's not the same thing. They say, yeah, it's the same. You're moving your legs, it's the same. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's like A and B.
Deb, you are exactly right.
Yeah, fresh air.
Being outside in the fresh air, moving, looking at that scenery, especially the greenery, is like nothing else.
And this the power that you have to have in your legs going up a hill and then going down a hill and then going back up again. And the steeper the hill, the more power you can feel it. And it's just a different level of exploration. So
it is.
Convince them to become bike riders. So that's why I wanted to listen tonight to see if I can get any pointers to help convince them.
Well, I hope I gave you I gave you some pointers.
Yes, I can now explain to them the bicycle and the safety, because some of them are apprehensive because they're scared of the cars. So if they have their helmet, and their lights on, that might be helpful for them too.
Also down there on that west in Florida, I think there are a lot of trails.
Yes, we have a lot of trails
and dedicated bike lanes. So look for those places; they'll feel safer.
We do have dedicated bike lanes that lead all the way from our house all the way to the beach. Sometimes the cars do not want to share, so that becomes a problem. So if you have your safety gear on, it's helpful because they see with the helmet,
There's a piece of safety equipment I forgot. I'm going to get a picture of it for the next time I do this class. It's a bell.
Yes.
That is for the people that are walking in front of me to let them know that I slow down. I start ringing the bell until they turn around and look at me.
Oh, that's a good idea. I'll get a bell. I don't have a bell. So when I go to get my seat done, I'll also get a bell.
There you go, Deb.
Thank you so much.
Super. Thank you.
I enjoyed the class.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Do that fitness for cycling too. That seems like a good class.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye. Take care and be safe.